The clink of glasses and the hum of polite conversation filled the terrace, but I barely heard it. My pulse hammered in my ears. I stared at the mimosa in front of me, cold, sparkling orange like some cruel reflection of my life. Across the table, my sister, Jenna, was laughing, that condescending tilt of her head I had hated since childhood. "Oh, please," she said, smirking. "You actually think anyone notices what you do at work? You're invisible." Her words cut through the warm spring morning like a serrated blade. The sun painted gold streaks on her hair, the way it always did, emphasizing her perfection. Her laughter bubbled over, unaware of the storm brewing beneath my skin. I smiled, carefully, the kind of smile that says I'm fine, while my mind raced. Invisible? Maybe. Until today. Until I'd realized exactly how much power I held. I leaned back, letting the sunlight kiss my face, a slow-burning heat that matched the anger coiling inside me. I had worked for years at Sterling and Cole Investments, clawing my way through every promotion, every project, every tedious task no one else wanted. And Jenna? She had slid into a comfortable assistant role after college, coasting on charm and family name, making jokes at my expense, assuming the world owed her admiration. I set my fork down and let my gaze drift to the city skyline beyond the terrace. 100 stories of ambition, greed, and success, my playground now. The thought of Jenna's ignorance made my lips twitch. Soon, very soon, she'd learn the truth. "Are you even listening?" Jenna asked, leaning in, voice sharp. I blinked, refocusing. "Of course," I said, calm. But my mind wasn't on the brunch menu. It was on the spreadsheet open on my tablet earlier that morning, the one Jenna had never glanced at, never understood. The one that listed the budgets she signed off on every week. Budgets she didn't question. Budgets I controlled. My coffee arrived, steam curling into the warm air, and I took a slow sip. The bitterness grounded me. I remember my father's words years ago. Power isn't given, it's inherited through observation, patience, and timing. I had watched, I had waited. And today, at this cheerful Sunday brunch with croissants and fresh berries, the moment had come. "Honestly," Jenna said, smirking again, "sometimes I wonder why you even bother. You're like background noise. I don't think anyone really notices you." I smiled wider, slow and deliberate, letting the words sink into her like venom in sweet tea. "Funny," I said, my voice soft but pointed. "Funny, because apparently someone does notice me." Her laughter faltered. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "What do you mean?" I tapped my tablet. A single click and her eyes went wide. "I think you'll want to look at this," I said, voice calm, almost gentle. Every number on the spreadsheet was a testament, a revelation. Budget approvals, payroll distributions, discretionary expenses, all routed through my account. And at the very bottom, a note in bold. "All approvals processed by Olivia Hart, Director of Operations." Jenna's mouth opened and closed. "Wait, this can't be." "Oh, it's real," I said. "All the checks, all the approvals, you've been signing off on them for months. And I've been watching quietly, making sure everything runs smoothly while you make jokes at my expense." Her face paled. She looked around, as if the terrace, the other diners, even the waiters might betray me. They didn't. I was alone with my moment, and she couldn't escape it. I didn't know," she stammered. The words sounded small, pathetic even. "Of course you didn't," I said, leaning back, savoring the weight of my revenge. "You never notice anything. You just assume the world is yours because you smile at it." She looked down, shame creeping into her features, and I felt the cold satisfaction of a long-awaited reckoning. This wasn't about money. It was about respect, recognition, and finally, balance. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The sun continued to spill across the terrace, oblivious to the storm of humiliation unfolding at one small corner of its brilliance. And in that silence, I knew something fundamental had shifted. Jenna had mocked me all her life. Today, she learned exactly who held the power, and it wasn't her. Jenna's hands trembled as she scrolled through the tablet, her usual composure unraveling like frayed silk. Each number, each approval, each payment was a revelation she had never anticipated. Her laughter was gone, replaced with disbelief, shame, and a creeping panic that made her face flush crimson. I, I don't understand, she said, voice breaking. How is this even possible? I thought these were just routine approvals. I didn't, I didn't know. I leaned forward, letting the weight of my gaze settle on her. You didn't know because you never pay attention. You coasted through, thinking life was a game of charm and smiles. And today the rules changed. Her eyes darted to the other diners as if seeking an ally. None came. No one knew the power she had been underestimating all these months. She had mocked me, dismissed me, assumed I was nothing. And now she realized that everything she relied on, the paychecks, the approvals, the very structure that allowed her life to run smoothly, was in my hands. Please, Olivia, this isn't fair, she said, voice tight with desperation. I've been doing my job. I've been working too. I smiled, slow and controlled, savoring the taste of revenge. Working? Is that what you call it? Approving numbers blindly, making jokes at my expense, assuming the world owed you recognition? That's not work, Jenna. That's privilege. And today, privilege meets reality. Her lips quivered. You're going to ruin me. Oh, I'm not going to ruin you, I said, calm as a lake before a storm. I'm giving you a chance to see the truth, to understand who's really in control. Her phone buzzed, and she glanced at it with frantic eyes. The message preview made her pale even more. A forwarded email from the finance department flagged a discrepancy in her approvals, and every senior executive had been CC'd. The realization hit her like a sledgehammer. She was exposed, powerless, and entirely at my mercy. I can fix this, she whispered. I shook my head, letting the silence stretch. Every second amplified her panic. You don't fix ignorance, Jenna. You learn from it, or you suffer the consequences. A waiter approached, setting down fresh pastries and coffee, and for a moment the mundane intrusion highlighted the surrealness of the moment. The clinking of porcelain cups, the scent of buttery croissants, the hum of conversation, it all collided with the private chaos at our table. She gripped the edge of the table, knuckles white. Please don't make this public. I tilted my head, studying her. It's already public, I said softly. To you, and to the people who matter. Everyone else? They'll see the results soon enough. Don't worry, I'm not cruel. I'm just precise. Her eyes filled with tears, the first real vulnerability I had ever seen from her. It was a stark contrast to the mocking, superior grin she wore at brunch last week. For years, she had assumed she was untouchable. Now she realized the game had rules, and I had been playing all along. I took a sip of my coffee, letting the bitterness ground me. You mocked me, underestimated me, laughed at me for years, I said quietly, letting each word land like a carefully aimed arrow. Today, you learned that the person you thought was invisible is the one holding all the cards. Her head dropped into her hands, the elegant brunch atmosphere suddenly feeling like a battlefield. The chandeliers reflected off the table like prisms, highlighting every bead of sweat, every tremor, every moment of fear etched on her face. Why now? She murmured, barely audible. Because timing is everything, I said, letting the phrase linger. I could have humiliated you years ago. I could have waited until you really needed me. But I chose now, because you needed to see the truth before it was too late. Her breaths were shallow, rapid, the first sign of panic fully blossoming into desperation. I don't know what to do. I leaned back, folding my arms, enjoying the quiet power. Exactly. That's the point. And in that moment, I realized something deeper than revenge. This wasn't just about proving a point or asserting control. It was about recognition, finally being seen, finally being acknowledged, finally having the world understand that I was no longer invisible. The brunch continued around us, oblivious, the murmur of other tables and the distant sound of traffic outside contrasting sharply with the tension at ours. Jenna had mocked me, dismissed me, treated me as if I were a shadow in the background of her life. Today, she discovered that shadows can hold incredible power. By the time the brunch ended, Jenna's composure had completely crumbled. Her hands shook as she slid her chair back from the table. eyes darting around the terrace, hoping someone, anyone, would rescue her from the humiliation she now understood was inescapable. I walked beside her, slow, deliberate, letting each step echo like a drumbeat in my mind. The city skyline glimmered beyond the terrace, a silent witness to her unraveling. Every reflection of sunlight off the glass buildings reminded me of the years I had spent unnoticed, undervalued, dismissed. And now, all that invisibility had turned into power. You realize, don't you? I said softly, letting the words hang in the spring air. Every budget you approved, every check you signed, every decision you thought was yours was actually under my control. Every action, every oversight, every assumption, you've been dancing to a song I composed. Her lips trembled. I can fix this, she whispered again, but the desperation had a hollow ring. She no longer sounded like the confident, mocking sister who had spent years belittling me. No, I said, my voice firm, the calm center of a storm. You can't fix ignorance. You can't rewind years of condescension. You can only learn, and you can only watch as the consequences unfold. She swallowed, eyes wide. What are you going to do? I smiled, a slow, controlled smile that carried every ounce of restrained satisfaction I had nurtured for years. I'm going to do what you never thought I could. I'm going to ensure you understand exactly who holds the power. A notification pinged on her phone. She glanced at it and her face went pale again. An email from the finance director confirming my oversight, highlighting discrepancies, and listing me as the responsible authority. It wasn't just a spreadsheet anymore. It was evidence, public and undeniable, proving that her entire position rested on my work and approval. You, she stammered. You're signing everything? Every decision? I nodded, letting the truth settle like a heavy curtain between us. Every paycheck, every invoice, every budget. And every time you tried to mock me, belittle me, dismiss me, I was here, ensuring the system ran, ensuring your little world stayed afloat while you laughed at me. The realization hit her like a lightning bolt. Her knees weakened, and she grasped the terrace railing for support. I didn't know. No, I said, my tone gentle but unyielding. You didn't. And that's why you're here, standing in the ruins of your own arrogance, learning that the invisible person, the one you always assumed was powerless, is the one who controls everything. The other diners began to notice the tension at our table. Whispers rippled through the crowd as they pieced together the drama. Jenna's shame became performance art in motion, her panic growing with every subtle glance, every hushed question from nearby guests. You spent your life mocking me, I continued, voice calm, precise, like a scalpel cutting through layers of pretense. Today, you learned that I'm not invisible. I've always been here. And today, the truth is unavoidable. Her tears flowed freely now, but they were no longer cathartic. They were the raw, bitter taste of humiliation and regret. Please don't tell anyone else, she whispered, broken. I shook my head. No, let them see. Let them all see the consequences of arrogance, the fragility of assumption, the danger of underestimating someone quietly powerful. And in that moment, the brunch transformed. It wasn't just a Sunday gathering anymore. It was the stage for a reckoning long overdue. Every glance she received, every whispered comment, every subtle nod from onlookers reinforced her fall from assumed superiority. She had mocked me, dismissed me, and laughed at my diligence. Now, she understood precisely who held the reins. I stood, straightening my dress, the cool spring air brushing against my face. The sunlight caught my eyes, making them glint with satisfaction. Jenna looked up at me, eyes wide, searching for a trace of the sister she once thought she knew. There was none. Only the woman she had underestimated, the one who had quietly mastered the game of power, patience, and timing. I hope you remember this feeling, I said softly, voice low enough for only her to hear. Not fear, not anger, but clarity, respect, recognition. Because this is the moment you realize you were wrong about me your entire life. She could barely nod, her pride shattered, her confidence evaporated. And for the first time, I felt the weight of my own liberation. This wasn't just revenge, it was acknowledgement, vindication, and the reclaiming of every moment I had been overlooked. As we left the terrace, I noticed the subtle glances from the guests, some impressed, some shocked, some quietly calculating. I didn't care. Jenna's humiliation was enough. And for once, the world had finally recognized me, not as the quiet, invisible sister, but as the one who had always been in control. Outside, the city stretched endlessly, full of opportunity, potential, and power waiting to be claimed. I inhaled deeply, savoring the air, the moment, the victory. Revenge had been served not with cruelty, but with precision, timing, and undeniable truth. And the world, starting with my sister, had learned that underestimating me was the gravest mistake of their lives. For the first time in years, I felt seen. I felt powerful. I felt free. And Jenna, she would never forget who I was, who I had become, or the lesson she had learned at brunch that changed everything.